Morning folks, Kevin here. Well, it's June 30th, 2018. We're expecting a heat wave this coming week with very, very high humidity. And the last couple of days I've been trying to do some of the heavier work around here, and that's pruning for safety. When we discuss pruning as opposed to training, and this video isn't going to be about training the fruit trees and the berry bushes and all. This is going to be about a little bit about pruning and what I've been doing the last couple of days. So the last couple of days I've been working in both food forests doing pruning for safety. Typically when we're talking about pruning, we're talking about first removing the dead, the diseased, the dysfunctional, those that are crossing. Depending on the cultivar or the species, we're talking about shaping the tree so that as the tree matures, it's easier to harvest the fruit or nuts, and certainly trying to increase the amount of airflow, increasing the amount of sunlight exposure for adequate photosynthesis, and so on. And also even thinning, like some of the trees I've got to thin today as well. Despite there being so few pollinators this year, it's kind of amazing that I actually have a couple of apple trees that I've got to do a little bit of thinning with. But anyways, that isn't what I've been doing yesterday and today, the last 2 days rather. The last 2 days I've been pruning for safety. So that's for people safety, animal safety, structural safety, buildings and all. Trying to remove those limbs that are an obstruction, and you may be hit when I'm mowing the lawn or working through with the tractor, and a limb catches on the exhaust system on it and damages the limb. So it's really being mindful about, well, what can happen, what can cause an injury, what could potentially be an injury because the limb is too long now and it's got a lot of foliage out at the end with those heavy snowstorms and ice storms, dealing with those things. So it's about safety basically. Safety for the people, the animals, the buildings, and certainly for the trees themselves. So that's what I did the last couple of days, and I took down quite a few limbs. Had to use Optimus Prime, the front end loader, to carry multiple loads up to a new hugelkultur system that I'm building. And I'll make a quick video just discussing how I'm building that slow hugelkultur system as well. But the last couple of days I've just been either pruning, or the second half of the day hauling all those materials up to the site. Today what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be doing some better late than never pruning of some of all those suckers that came up. So this spring I did some heavy duty pruning of the trees in the food forests. And there's lots and lots of water sprouts, you know, those new suckers that shoot up from the limbs where you removed a limb. So there may be a little circumferential ring of water sprouts or new growth shooting up. And we don't want those shooting straight up in the middle of the tree in most cases. We don't want them going back towards the center of the tree. So what I'm going to try and do is, I've got the GoPro mounted to my chest, and I'll probably use my phone. This camera is a little too big for me to get up into these trees and show you what I want to show you. But I'll just be removing all of those. Now if I had my system all set up with a little more space, I'd take all these cuttings and I'd stick them in some of the moist soil with a misting system and see, geez, can they root and can I propagate more trees? And my bed for doing that is already chock full, and I don't have time or the means to establish more of these will be softwood cuttings as opposed to the hardwood cuttings that we do in the fall. So let's see what we can show you what we've got going on. So what we have here, we have a whole bunch of water sprouts. These are new suckers, new apple growth that takes off and heads straight up, shooting towards the sky. And it's often occurs right around locations where we've pruned. And when we do some heavy pruning, then we get all of these water sprouts all over the place shooting up, and they'll be just great big tall vegetative growth that's going to be overcrowded ultimately and not allow us to have easy harvesting or easy maintenance, because it's going to have too little airflow when we have all of these water sprouts, and then they'll send out lateral shoots that'll just get all entangled and all. So the job now is, it should have been for me to come by before, and when these are real small, just take my finger, pop them off and all, because I don't want more limbs right here on this main stem. That'll be too much weight ultimately in the future, and it's too difficult to harvest in the center of the tree. It's much easier if we have the tree really spread out really nicely so that I can harvest all the way around. But there's just too much growth around in there that I'm going to have to take care of. Here on this plum, and this is one that has a black knot on it, you can see these suckers, and this is all from this season. Yeah, that growth is just from this season growing up. So it's pretty amazing. That's 2.5 feet long. That's came up since this spring. So I'll cut out all the disease stuff from here, but this tree will be done towards the end of the process. I'm going to go through all the other trees around here. The apples, the peaches, the nectarines, the plums, the apricots, the apples, all of the other trees around here, and get those pruned first.